Hello everyone and welcome back guys to a brand new video where today we're here for a video that probably should have come out about 4 months ago in all honesty. This is Team LCR's attempt at the Daytona 24 with Tora. Yes, we're finally starting to upload some of our videos from the 2020 endurance season, and so far this obviously was the first event of 2020, as is obviously commonly known. Daytona 24, the first big endurance of the year on the world calendar, and obviously Tora running their own version of a lot of the major events over the course of the year. Now, obviously we've done one endurance before with Team LCR. We ran the Nürburgring 24 last December. That race had its ups and downs, but generally speaking, in all honesty, I wasn't very happy with my performance at the end of the day. We lacked a bit of consistency, we lacked some pace in the car, then it really did cost us at the end of the day. But coming into Daytona though, we jumped up from the GT class to the Daytona prototype class, this time out in the 2015 Chevrolet Corvette Daytona prototype here, and I was feeling good. You know, I had a good run in this car back in 2018. I did the iRacing version of Daytona 24 in 2019, so it felt good to come back for my third year here at Daytona, but only my second actually on Forza Motorsports second. Currently in the background is my qualifying lap, but for this one though, we were only running the one car. It was myself, it was CK, we had Brandy, we had Jork, and we had Wastel, the 5 of us that are going to be making up this one, so really looking forward to it at the end of the day. And like I said, this was actually my fastest qualifying lap, currently going around in the background. Felt like a pretty decent lap at the end of the day there, and it was actually good enough for us to get up into P8, P6 even I should say, of B lobby for this race. Now, for those of you that aren't aware, obviously Tora qualifying, you get 3 different days where you can run your qualifying sessions. Obviously, you can only take part in one session, and then the 2 fastest times from each team set the benchmark ready for the race. Now, currently so far, Jordan was our fastest qualifier. He has set a 1 minute 34.1. So my aim was to try and set a high 33 to get our combined time under the 3:08 mark here. That was really going to be the aim for this race. Now, top guys, they were looking like they were about a second a lap faster than us, so we had some decent pace around this circuit. If I'm not mistaken, the fastest qualifying time in the end would be a 3:05.925 there, so 2 times just under the 1 minute 33 mark here. But as we head through the bus stop chicane to finish off my fastest qualifying lap, obviously pretty much all the time can only be made in the first half of the lap, obviously just around the oval. There's not really you can do in the end there. But yeah, coming out of the banking, it would be a high 1 minute 33 there in the end. And yeah, hopefully we can get our combined times down, and we did end up managing to do so. Managed to get a 3:07.986. So like I said, that put us up in P6 in B lobby here. We had 8 of the Daytona prototypes in each split, and then 12 of the GTs as well. So 20 car lobbies, obviously a lot of drivers racing in this one. We had a good 70-80 cars ready for this race. If I'm not mistaken, it was 78 cars combined across both classes here, and yeah, 29 in DP, so we were just inside the top half of the Daytona prototype class here. But we're going to ride on board then with the first stint of the day here with CK kicking us off. The aim was to try and get CK and myself in the car at the start, and then when we get to the night, obviously we had Brandy and Wasted a lot more night running, so they're going to try and do most of the night stints for us as well. But getting ready though for the start then, the Rolex Daytona 24 is go here with Tora, then coming down in towards someone. CK already trying to look. There's a bit of contact actually on the outside. Quite a few cars lugging around there, so that's straight up into P4 of the race there. 2 places made up as both the guys on the second row that get caught together. And yeah, a little bit of lag in this first stint coming in. You can see a couple of cars just rubber banding ever so slightly just ahead and behind of CK there, but we managed to get through the start nice and tidily. That was the most important thing in this race. You know, it's so critical to try and at least get, you know, in on a 24-hour race. You know, anything can happen. You can try to recover towards the end, but really, you know, you want to be there at the start. You want to get through the first 6 hours, I'd say, pretty much incident-free, if possible. You know, small scuffs, you know, no critical damage that you got to pit and drag the car around half a lap. Everything like that. So the first couple of stints is always about damage limitation there, and a couple of guys, yeah, clearly getting a little bit feisty off the start of this race there. But it worked out for us. We did survive the start of this race there, and we had SSR Fun for us currently leading the way in B lobby here as we head down in through the bus stop chicane. There a little bit of a mistake on that one. You can take a lot of curb around this circuit if you wanted to here. But over the next few laps though, CK would slowly close up to P3 here of the Racing Nova. I know the game's saying he's in P3. There a little bit of desync going on between the pair of them there. We actually have another car right behind as well there. So everyone's starting to bunch up. The top two made a bit of a breakaway off the start of this race there. You can see CK trying to look around the outside of the Racing Nova there. Can't quite make the move work there, and that might allow one of the Corvettes up the inside of us there. I'm not too sure. That's one of the GPR cars trying to potentially have a look around the outside there, and there's a bit of contact actually. I think there was a bit of lag going on with that one there. CK very, very lucky to get away with that one there, and unfortunately the GPR car getting sent out into the grass there. Luckily no tyre walls too close around this area of the circuit, so we can live to fight another day. But yeah, CK still all over the back of the Racing Nova at the moment. I mean, we're only 10 minutes in to this race there, but for those of you that aren't aware how Torah stints work, although it's technically a 24-hour race, you technically only do 20 hours of driving. Now, the stints are set up to 2 hours. You race until there's 20 minutes left on the clock, and then you all slam on the anchors and come to a stop. And then obviously that gives you a little bit of time to get the lobby refreshed, everything like that, as obviously there are no driver swaps here on Forza Motorsport 7 there. And CK, 5 seconds left on the clock though. Decent stint, unfortunately dropped back a couple of places as the guys that got involved in the scuffs at the beginning there managed to get the undercut on him and move back up the order there. But 221 miles to finish off the first stint of the day was a very, very good job in the end there. And yeah, fantastic job to CK getting the car started there. Lucky to avoid that contact on the opening lap there. So 6th to 6th at the end of the first stint, we can certainly take quite happily. Getting ready though then for stint 2 of the day. This time around you don't do a full formation lap as we come out of this hairpin. It will be lights out and away we go. They're obviously still in P6 after the first stint of the day there, and this time out it is going to be me in the car. So I was feeling a little bit nervous about this. Wanted to try and move up the order just a little bit here. I felt like we had a bit more pace in the car than we had shown in qualifying there. As you can see already, a couple of guys getting together there. PMC Ramos and Illusion just coming together there ever so slightly. Ramos is going to try and keep the nose up the inside of the Racing Nova there. So you can see there are 2 Daytona prototypes in this race. We had the Ford Riley Mark 26, if I'm not mistaken, Daytona prototype here, and then obviously the Chevrolet as well. Now the Ford was a little bit better through the corners, had a little bit better traction at the low end speed. It did take pole position. I think it got quite a few of the top slots there for the start of this race, but we'd opted for the Chevy. It just has a little bit higher top end, so as you can see now, if you get a good run on the Fords, it can be quite difficult for them to really try and defend from yourself. Once you get over about the 150 mile an hour mark, you can see that Ford hasn't really got much that it can hang on with there. So we do move up into P5 straight away off the start of Sid 2 here. We've got SFN Darkser all over the back of us as well, and I think he is in one of the other Chevrolets as well. So you can see topping out just over 202 miles an hour as we head down in towards turn 1. Darkser's going to try and get up the inside of us there as we head through the first corner, but just dips a wheel on the grass, and the traction completely cuts the power out of this car. Now, most people, I think, were running traction control for this race. However, I personally was using it, but trying not to lean on it all too much here. I was trying to short shift out of it where possible and try and cycle our way up through the gears there so we could really just try and get the power down. Obviously, this thing's so torquey as well. It really does help us out. You can see over the next couple of laps, though, already only 4 minutes in, we've got SQD Illusions and PMC Ramos just up in front of us here. We're going to try and look up the inside of Illusion down in towards turn 1 there as we head through the first corner there. We're just going to run a little bit deep there, dip a wheel on the grass, get caught out by the curbs. Darkser is going to go into the back of us there, and we're only just going to make contact with him there, and unfortunately that is going to send us around, and that unfortunately is going to cycle us back to the rear of the Daytona prototype field there. But no damage from that. Everything still should be alright. It did, in all honesty, just meant we could put our head down and really, really focus throughout the rest of this stint there. And you can see with 45 seconds left on the clock, we had to go a little bit aggressive on the strategy. As you can see, we've got half a percentage of fuel left, but we were all the way back up into P4. We had to go for a really, really aggressive undercut over these last few laps here. And yeah, as we head on to the final lap, you can see coasting it down into turn 1. It was going to be difficult to judge, and you can see now the car has ran out of fuel here. So we're really just now trying to limp it around these final 15 seconds here. It definitely worked out better than having to make a 4th pit stop in this stint there. As you can see, heading out of the first few corners there, we're barely getting any speed out of it at the moment. But it's going to be good enough still, and nonetheless, like I said, it's all about trying to get distance in these races and spending as little time as possible in the pits there. And yeah, coming through for P4 at the end of the 2nd stint of the day. So we were doing alright at the moment. We'd had a couple of good stints. We kept it clean throughout the first 4 hours. Next up then would be, if I'm not mistaken, Jork, who would actually jump into the car for the 3rd stint of the day there. And you can see Jork actually did stream his POVs. A big, big thank you to all of the boys for streaming their POVs of this one now. Unfortunately for Jork, though, didn't quite get the stint he wanted. Unfortunately got cycled to the back fairly early on there, and that meant he finished up in P8 in the 3rd stint of the day. Not too much to report from that one, and it just slowly but surely as we head into the night, just cycling through the stints. In many ways, it's better that we didn't have that much action, in all honesty, because it really did allow us just to get our head down and put as many laps as we possibly could through the car. End of stint 4, 8 hours now into the race, pretty much a third of the way. We actually were able to win this one by a good 4,000 feet there, if I'm not mistaken, over the next couple of cars there. Pretty much 223 miles on the board. I was very, very happy with that one there. Get the car stopped, and yeah, 8 hours in already, and still no big issues here in the Daytona 24. Unfortunately on Forza, a lot of your race is dependent on whether you disconnect. Obviously, it's not like on iRacing where you can just rejoin the server. That's, if you disconnect 5 minutes into a 2-hour stint, that's 2 hours gone of your race there, and it really, really does just completely ruin any chance of getting any good results, in all honesty here. Heading though, we made it through the night. We actually had Wastel and Brandy in the car through the night. Unfortunately, they got no way of recording their POVs, so we jump into, I think, actually about hour 18 of the race now. CK back in towards the end of the night stint here. You can see the sun starting to rise here, and this would actually be one of the best ends to a stint I've ever seen in a Tourer Enduro here. We have 2 of the Chevrolets there. It might actually be a 3rd just behind us with SQD Carrera here. As you can see, I think he is also actually in the Chevy as well. There's a 3-way battle for P4 at the end of this stint there. Unfortunately, didn't quite go as well for CK as we managed to earlier on there. Obviously, the grip levels are a little bit lower as the track temperature drops over the course of the night, but he was still doing very, very well to get, you know, over the 221, possibly just getting up towards 222 miles around this circuit there. You can see, is he going to be able to get close enough to Darkser to try and get past him as we head down into the bus stop here? Not quite close enough this time around there. Attack the grass, attack the curbs as best as possible there, and on the exit you can see he is going to get a little bit of a run there, but only 10 seconds left on the clock to finish off in stint 10 of the race. So 4 hours to go at this point. You know, with disconnects around us, obviously in other lobbies, everything like that, we're up into P3 of our split and holding on to about P9, P10 over the course of the entire race. So we were still doing well at the moment here. We had shuffled our way up the order from 14th on the combined grid there, but hopefully as we head in towards these final couple of stints, we can try and just see if there's any more places to be had. A little bit gutted there right at the end of our stint. You can see MRT Truth was able to get up the inside there, and we just can't quite hook it up around the outside of him as we head down onto the back straightaway. 20 minutes left on the clock. We're going to slam on the anchors. Truth there. A little bit optimistic, I think, on the timing, so he is going to roll back towards the rest of us here. And yeah, just 2 hours to go now of this race, and we were currently holding on to P3 in lobby, and we were up into 9th overall in the race there. We had a fantastic battle going on with actually 2 of the top cars from lobby 3, SVR Dallara and FRM Team Rockstar X-Durance as well there. So we still had something to play for, and this is always the weird and wonderful thing in Tourer Enduros there. You know, you can end up spending all race battling cars you're not even in the same lobby with as well. That is always the fun thing about these sorts of series there. And yeah, a big thank you to Tourer for hosting this once again. But heading though into the final 20 seconds then of the Daytona 24, CK up into third place in this final stint. And like I said, it was a really, in a good way, a quiet race for us after all the issues we had at NERB 24 at the end of last year. To jump in here, not have any disconnects, not have any issues with anything like that. And with the clock striking 20, the Daytona 24 has now been complete. And I can confirm, when all was said and done there, we managed to get P8 at the end of the day. Overall, they're out of a field of 29 Daytona prototypes there, 78 cars all together, and we were barely quarter of a mile behind P7 there. P3 in our lobby. Unfortunately there, the SSR car was absolutely dominant throughout a lot of the stints there, with MRT coming through in P2 in our lobby there. But a podium in Split 2 of the Daytona 24. I will certainly take that very happily there at the end of the day. But yeah, a big thank you to all of you that have watched this video. Like I said, I'm hopefully going to try and get a few more of these out over the course of the year, although we actually got around to sorting this one out because of the the Bathurst 12 hours, even I should say, that went ahead yesterday at the time of recording this. But a really good fun race nonetheless. A big thank you to CK and Jork for sending over their footage as well. If you did enjoy this video, do get yourself subscribed as well. There will be plenty more Tourer Endurances coming out over the course of the rest of the year. Team LCR are certainly looking to try and jump into as many of them as we possibly can. But a podium in the first endurance of 2020 there. We can take that in B lobby, and hopefully we will be back soon with our highlights from Bathurst 12.